I'm filming this on the Pocket 2, and this is a new filter and lens set from Freewell. It has an ND8, ND16, ND32, ND64, a wide, and an anamorphic lens, all made for the DJI Pocket 2. And before we go any further in this video, I do need to say that Freewell sent these to me for free, but they don't get input on this video. They don't get previewed or anything like that. They're not paying for this video. So these opinions are my own, but I do appreciate them sending these lenses out. The Pocket 2 has a pretty good field of view on it already, but if you want to get wider, if you're in places like this where you really want to show off the location while you're also still filming yourself, or if you want to do this sort of vlog selfie style thing, you want a little bit wider so that you can show yourself in the location, not just, you know, talking head like this where you're super close. So DJI created this, the wide angle lens. So I'll pop that on there right now and you can see what that looks like. So now this is with the wide angle lens. You can see already that it got just a little bit wider and it makes it a little bit nicer. I'm still standing an arm's length from the camera, but it is a lot better field of view as far as what you can see around me. Now, the problem with that is you can only use the lens. You can't use an ND filter. Freewell has created two lenses, but they are capable to be used with the ND filters that Freewell has created as well. So let's switch to the wide angle from Freewell and see what that looks like. So this is the wide angle lens from Freewell. The DJI one's on there currently. Let's swap it out. Now we're on the wide angle lens from Freewell. Just like the DJI one, it attaches magnetically, really easy to use. You just pop it on there and it's ready to go. It shows up the same on the Pocket 2 as the DJI wide angle lens does. But one thing wide angle lenses do is kind of push everything back away from the camera. And so sometimes you want to keep what's in the center, like I am right now, sort of closer feeling, but also get the width. And that's where Anamorphic comes in really handy. Now Anamorphic also distorts the image, so it makes it feel different than normal images, normal wide images like this. So Anamorphic is cool, but it takes a little bit more work in post. You've got to de-squeeze the image by 1.5 times in order to make it look correct. So let's swap this out here real quick and see how it looks. Off, put the anamorphic on. Now you probably noticed that I look a little squished because it's now anamorphic, which is squish the image horizontally in a little bit. So what we have to do is go and de-squeeze it. So you go over to the inspector tab, you go here on the x-axis and de-squeeze it by 1.5 times. And now I look pretty natural and pretty normal. But it gives this sort of cool feel where I don't feel like I'm far away from the camera. I feel like I'm a little closer as far as what you're seeing, but you still get the width, the wide angle, you get everything around me. So I'm a big fan of anamorphic. The other really cool thing about anamorphic is that you can get those really cool horizontal streaks. And so if you're filming something that's a little more science fiction-y or something you want to make it stand out and make it look different, you're filming stuff at night with the Pocket 2, then it definitely gives a really different flavor to your footage. And you don't have to add blue streaks in post, which is always nice. But it does get a little distorted out on the sides, and that's just part of the nature of anamorphic. Personally, it's kind of a cool aesthetic, but if you don't like it, then you don't like it. However, the cool thing about these two lenses from Freewell is that they work with the ND filters. Why do you need an ND filter? Well, let's talk about why. I feel like ND filters have been talked about to death, but just in case you don't know, you want an ND filter to control your shutter speed, to keep a natural amount of motion blur in your footage when you're moving around quickly or when you're moving fast. The way to do that is keep your shutter speed 2 times your frame rate. So if you're filming at 24 frames a second, you want it 1/48, or usually it's 1/50 on most cameras. Or if you're filming 30 frames a second, you want it at 1/60, and so on. You basically want to take whatever your frame rate is that you're filming at and multiply it times 2 to get what your shutter speed should be. On small cameras like this, it's really important because the only way to control the amount of light coming into the sensor is by the shutter speed, unless you have ND filters. So let me set this up. This is all on auto right now. The shutter speed is really high. So if you see my hand going like this, it looks really fast and weird looking sort of. So let me change this to what it should be for the proper shutter speed, and then we'll see why you need ND filters. So this is what it should be to have the proper amount of motion blur, to have your shutter speed set at what it should be. Obviously it's way overexposed. So what I've done is attach the ND32 to the wide angle lens, put it on the camera, and just like that, we're now much better. Our exposure is about right. It's just about perfect. And as you can see, when I do this, you get a better motion blur when you're moving something quickly. That is what you want. Now, the nice thing about the Freewell ones is they work with the Freewell lenses. This is the easiest way I've found when trying to use these filters is take the lens, snap it onto the magnetic strip, and then use a fingernail right there to pop the lens and the filter off at the same time. They stay attached well, and then you can just pop it on the camera. The easiest way I've found to take these things off and to store them is just to snap it to the magnetic strip, pull the lens off, and put the lens in its pocket, and then everything's ready to go. And we're ready to go. And you can do it with gloves on. It just is a little bit harder because they are so small, but they're really well made. Freewell filters are fantastic. I've been using them for years. I really enjoy them. If you're interested in getting some for yourself, there are links in the description. Thank you, Freewell, for sending these out. These are really cool. They're a lot of fun to use on the Pocket 2. I'm excited to be able to put these to more use, especially as the sun starts coming out now that we're heading into spring here in Alaska. If you're interested in seeing other accessories or things for action cameras, small Osmo Pocket, stuff like that, you can click or tap right there. I've put together a small playlist. I'll see you in one of those videos. As always, if you have questions, ask me in the comments below, or join my live stream Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I will see you again soon in the next video. Cheers, everybody.